I understand that too much regulation could be argued against
Right.
as well. It sucks the entire money out of the system, which can suck out of a lot of the innovation of things.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm not saying I have the holy grail or answer in the regard, but I do think there's probably an argument for, expectations of what is being said as a 100K account, and really you're getting access to 10K in true ability to trade it the way you want to trade it.
Right. There's been plenty of examples of prop firms literally just absconding with people's money, right? So that's obviously the most glaring, the glaring error here is you want to be doing business with somebody who you think is actually going to pay you, number one, right? That's kind of like the basic foundational idea of doing business, that they're going to be good for it. But what other regulatory oversight, or what kind of regulatory benefit do you think the whole system could use at this point? Just like you were saying, Forex firms and CFD firms have had to go through a big regulatory cycle, and now the business is, much cleaner and much better.
Yeah, and I think one thing that we sort of touched on earlier that I think falls into the regulation stuff that I think would be great is that concept of, hey, you're going to trade a 100K account, but it's really more like a 10K account. That, if it was really looked at by like regulation, I would argue could be called sort of like some level of false advertising. And so there's a little bit of funny business.
There's no advertising without false advertising, Nick. I mean, if advertisers had to say the truth, nobody would. Coca-Cola is like the most dangerous product in the world, far worse for you than any alcohol you could ever drink. Do you know how many sugar packets Coca-Cola has? Would you like to guess how many sugar packets are in a 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola?
I don't know, but I'm going to guess like 3 or 4.
12.
Holy crap. That's crazy.
If I gave you a cup of coffee with 12 sugars in it, you would literally say you're killing me. Okay. So yes, advertising by its definition is a lie. So but I agree with you. Yes. If they were forced to disclose that, I think the whole business kind of would really have a
right.
Really
well, and that's the thing is, so on the advertising side of things, I've been an influencer in this stuff for a while, and I've spoken with a lot of brokerages that want to partner up, that want to advertise and stuff. And I can tell you, it is night and day when working with one brokerage in the U.S. compared to places outside. The U.S. has so many. We've worked with Coinbase, we've worked with lots of big names, and to do that, they have, holy crap, just 3 meetings and compliance and this and that. And so I understand that too much regulation could be argued against as well. It sucks the entire money out of the system, which can suck out of a lot of the innovation of things. So I don't know. I'm not saying I have the holy grail or answer in the regard, but I do think there's probably an argument for, expectations of what is being said as a 100K account, and really you're getting access to 10K in true ability to trade it the way you want to trade it.
Right. So Nick, I wonder if you would agree with me. So I think the most fundamental regulation is, are you good for it? Like there should be some kind of a auditable, whatever the word is. There should be some kind of a financial statement of proof that this company has enough money on hand to actually pay you out if you pass the challenge, trade the account, and try to collect money. And it doesn't matter. Honestly, I really don't think. I think everybody makes a big deal about the fact that prop firms very often will pay money out to winners from the fees they get from losers, that they never touch the real market. You're not trading the real market. It doesn't matter. To me, it doesn't matter. Because the end result is what you're trading for is money from the account. As long as the actual prices are market prices, as long as you're essentially trading against, whether it's a sim account or a real account, against market prices, and you are making profits, it's everything in the world is fiction. This is like money is fiction, right? We all know that. It doesn't matter what you think. There's no difference between reality and demo in real life. All money is fiction. It's just that we pretend that it's real money because the Fed puts little dollars into our bank accounts.
Right. And Boris, what I would say to that, just to respond to that component, when it comes to whether or not they're paying you with market made transactions or their own pocket, the only thing that I would say is, as long as they actually have some level of regulation that guarantees that they're actually going to pay what is owed if it's on their books, that sort of thing. Because when I mentioned earlier that a lot of times bad reviews, people having little side games, side gimmicks that a prop firm will try and pull on people, the sketchy one, the good ones won't do this, but the sketchy ones will very often, they'll find a way to be like, hey, you broke this rule on the 16th of May or whatever. And they'll try and, because when you win, you're hurting their pocketbook. And so when you win against the market, you're not hurting them. They're just passing the liquidity on to you. So that's where I think as long as it's a responsible, somewhat regulated, somewhat safe environment, I would agree. It's as long as it's like a regulated casino rather than just,
Right. So Mark, what do you think? What do you think is your top 3 recommendations for regulation in this business? What would you love to see as the 3 most important things that a regulator could do to make this a better business?
Well, I mean, that's a tough question. I mean, often, for one, like I agree with Nick, regulation is generally a bad thing for the business in general, but you do need some form of regulation in order to keep out the bad players, right? So, I mean, top 3 things, I would say, for one, regulators should require some sort of barrier to entry, I guess you could say, or maybe licensing, because right now anyone can be a prop firm. All you need is some money, right, to make your payouts, and you partner with a technology partner, and hey, you're a prop firm. So, this kind of reminds me back of like 10 years ago when introducing brokers. I'm sure you remember anyone could be an introducing broker to a Forex firm, and then the regulators stepped in, and now you had to get your Series 3. Now you had to have a compliance department, right? So I think that in order to clean up some of the bad players, yes, you do need to have some sort of compliance, some sort of compliance system in place so that they are accountable, right? And you can basically clean up that mess. So that would be like my number one thing. As far as other things, they should be careful on the terminology they use and how they mislead people. But another thing that they should do is they should be more transparent about their statistics, okay? Because like, for one, if you Google this, again, you can't believe everything. You can't believe most things that you find on the internet. But if you look at the statistic, it says that only 4% of traders actually succeed or get through these challenges, and only 1% of them actually get to their first payout.
Yeah, I think that's not. I think that's actually true. I forgot which company was it. My Forex funds. One of them actually is transparent enough to publish, and the numbers were 7 per 1,000. I think that's what the numbers were. So it's not. I don't think it's not. That is the facts of life. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. Like there needs to be some sort of transparency somewhere. And maybe, like Forex dealers were forced to put out certain things after the regulators came about, because they make it seem like, if you go to one of these websites, thousands of traders on there are all making thousands of dollars every day. And if you know anything about this business, you know that most traders are not making money. So how is it possible that thousands of traders over here on website A are all making money, right? So that needs to be cleaned, because it's just luring in people that that they're buying into this dream. They're believing in Santa Claus only to hand over their money, and they're going to get stuck with nothing. That's where the regulation, I think, needs to assert itself. But again, at the same time, I know that regulations generally, as it basically it chokes off the business. It makes it mutes the growth of the business. So I don't know what the right answer is there, when it comes to that. This is going to depend on what side you're on.
Right. Interesting. I would actually disagree with you guys. I think it doesn't matter if you put a warning label on cigarettes, or you put a warning label on alcohol, or that everybody knows that you lose in Vegas. I think the key is, I'm not looking to babysit the consumer. The consumer is, first of all, $500 is nothing for most people. You burn $5,000 of your own money faster than you burn $500 in an eval account on a prop firm, which is why I think prop firms actually, create such an interesting proposition for a lot of consumers. This is pretty much fun money for everybody else. I mean, if it's your last dollar, you have bigger problems than that, and you can't really protect those type of people from the babysitter state. So I'm sort of, ironically enough, talk about Mr. Blue State himself. I'm being very, very pro market here. I would make that argument. But I think you make a good point that two things are really important. Licensing. So that means that the firm is actually knows, what it's doing, and it's passing a certain code of conduct, and capital requirements. Just like brokers have capital requirements, you got to have, it's not enough to start a prop firm with 10,000 in the bank. You got to have like $1 million. Brokers now in America, they have to have 20 million in the bank just to not even to open the door, just to let the regulators say, okay, you can give it a try. That's too much, but whatever, maybe $500,000, some kind of a reasonable baseline capital. I think those are good things.